You talk a right load of shit, don't you? That's one of the comments I've recently got on a video, and I get lots of comments like this, just like everyone else who creates videos on YouTube does, because that's the nature of the beast. That's how the people respond, because of anonymity, because they can, and that's how people respond, and that's fine. More to the time, it's constructive criticism that we take on board, because you cannot go through life on a wave of goodwill and approbation and people telling you how great you are and how wonderful you are and how entertaining you are. You've got to take the good with the bad, because that's how life is. Being lauded and being praised all the time, it's dangerous. You lose values, you lose standards, you lose those moral bars that you cannot go beyond. It keeps us grounded, it keeps us based. It's important, it's very, very important to occasionally being told that you're talking a load. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about people with fragile egos who were lauded by sycophants over and over and over again until they were convinced of their own greatness, and nothing else entered the narrative. No negatives entered the narratives. No negatives entered their lives, because their lives, even outside of the celebrity, were manipulated by these sycophants and people who had things to gain from their fame. And this destroys lives, destroys egos, just for somebody else's gain, somebody else's selfish gain. People with fragile egos who cannot stand to have anything negative said against them, because the sycophants have told them that they are absolutely great, they are wonderful, they are above reproach, so that anything negative that comes their way, they can't program it. It goes against everything. It destroys their self-worth. It destroys the self-belief in themselves. And this goes on all the time in society, in celebrity. We all stand about and we criticise the celebrity for their ego, when really they're probably just very, very vulnerable people who are being used by stronger people who have no moral compass. Molly's rolling about in the grass. Can you hear? We need to hear someone say, you don't half spout a load of every now and again, so then we can actually evaluate the statement and run it over and over in our heads and think, do I need to kind of look at myself? Do I need to think about what I say? Do I need to take responsibility for what I say? Am I as bright as I think I am? Am I as articulate as I think I am? Do I need to work on that? Do I need to work on my personality? Can I just relax into am I being too uptight? Am I being me? Am I trying to be somebody else? Am I trying to be the person that the sycophants want me to be, the users in society? Am I that fragile ego? When somebody says you talk a load of, do you actually talk a load of? Life is a complicated place to be, because not only do we have to think about what we say to others so that we don't cause unjustified offence, because in causing offence in itself is no bad thing. Causing unjustified offence is a different thing altogether. I am offended. Be offended. If you have deserved that offence, own it. So life is difficult in that respect. We have to be careful what we say to others, but we also have to evaluate what people say to us, because what people say to us may be that justified offence. So you can't just brush it off like they do on X and TikTok and other places, where you can just be anonymous and hide behind an anonymous account and just lash out at everybody around you. We're actually losing the value of offence, because offence and insults and criticism is actually a valuable tool to use in society, because it keeps us grounded. It makes us evaluate what we say and what we do and how we treat others. And when you get this anonymous account, this anonymous persona from whence you come running at the social media screen shouting, "You're an idiot, you're this, you're a racist, you're this, you're that," that is generally unjustified criticism, because it's somebody ranting from an anonymous account, somebody weak, somebody who would never stand up and say it to your face, but feel they can just get away with saying whatever they want from an anonymous account on anonymous Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram account. And that's where we are at the moment. We've kind of lost our moral compass a little bit, because it's too easy to go out there and just shout and scream and insult people and criticise them and criticise the families and criticise the worth. We've got that. We've got anonymous accounts at one side, and then we've got sycophants at the other. So we've got one side telling us how bad we are without any comeback, and then we've got sycophants telling us how good we are without any comeback. And it's no wonder that the world is full of people with all sorts of mental problems, because they don't know where they are. They're being criticised on one hand and lauded on the other from a society that doesn't have any comeback, doesn't have any accountability, does it? There's no accountability. You can say whatever you want to whoever you want, regardless. You don't know these people. You don't know them. You could be saying destructive things to a person who will take that on board, and it will destroy them completely. But we don't care because it's anonymous. We don't care because that's just what society's all about now. I can say what I want, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And where's all this going to end? Is this kind of rhetoric going to just increase and increase over the years until we just end up with no real discourse at all, without any sensible debate, without being able to sit across a table from someone and say, right, let's talk this out, and you can disagree intensely with each other, and you can end up shouting and pointing, and then go to the pub together for a pint because you respect each other as people, you've looked each other in the eye as people, you've seen the face, you've been close enough to punch that person in the face if you so wished, but you didn't, because you respect each other. And I think that's what it's all about. There's no respect. There's no respect from the sycophants who are building up the people with the fragile egos until they do something drastic, or the people who criticise people online relentlessly until they do something drastic. And you know, all this has come about in a matter of less than a generation, because it wasn't like this when I was a kid. And you know, I'm an old man in saying, oh, it wasn't like this when I was a kid, but it wasn't like this when I was a kid. You went out and you evaluated somebody, and you thought, I want to insult this person, but if I insult them, am I big enough to fight it off when they come swinging at me with the fists? Because that's what it was all about, because accountability. You can insult somebody all you want, but you have to take the consequences. And today you don't need to take the consequences. You can be the sycophant. You can build somebody up. You can see their ego being built up, knowing full well that they are fragile and won't be able to cope with this, and eventually may just end up as another headline in the paper. You can be the person online who insults somebody and insults somebody and insults somebody until one day they just end up as an headline in the paper. And we just descended into talking about this on such an absolutely beautiful morning in the countryside. And isn't that just the counterpoint to everything? We're here in nature. Nature is beautiful. Nature is innocent. Nature can do no wrong. And here am I walking around it with a completely 180-degree ethos, talking about insulting people until they become a headline in the newspaper, building somebody up until they become a headline in the newspaper. And it seems so incongruous and so weird as I stand here and I can see the trees in front of me, the leaves are rustling in the breeze, the sky is aquamarine blue with contrails. There aren't many birds about because, like I've spoken about the dawn chorus, how the birds are now taking a bit of a break. We're walking from the light now, it's warm, it's early in the morning, it's warm, and we're going to walk into the shade, it will go cool. All the nuances of nature, so beautiful and innocent. And here we are as humans, going through life, sitting in front of our laptops, destroying each other. The person who told me that I talk a load of did so because they found my videos boring or meaningless and not to their taste, not what you would usually watch, and that's absolutely fine. But they could say it and they could use the words they use because anonymity. Now that doesn't bother me. I'm too old and too ugly to be bothered by anything. I've spent a lifetime working on rigs with men who would tear your arms off and beat you to death with the sticky end for no reason at all. I can't be insulted. It doesn't work. It's water off a duck's back. But for too many people it isn't. For too many people they aren't emotionally equipped to take the insults. So I think we really do need to think about it when we just go out, when we're on social media, when we're anywhere where we can be anonymous, even just standing at a distance. Many people feel they can just say whatever they want. Now, I am pretty much a free speech absolutist, but that doesn't mean that we are free from the consequences of our free speech. I think you should be able to say whatever you want to somebody, but if that somebody decides to lamp you in the face for saying it, then that's just a consequence that you just have to live with. And that's all good. It's the anonymity of modern society, I think, that causes so many of the problems. The fact that you can actually go out and insult somebody, tell lies about somebody, lies that can have massive repercussions, that can damage their relationships, their jobs, the relationships with the families. You can do that, then switch your laptop off and go away with no guilt and probably forget that you'd done it 5 minutes later. But the consequences to somebody you will never meet and speak to face could be absolutely monumental. Does that make you blameless? I don't think so, of course not. Just because you can't feel the blame, just because you can't feel the repercussions, experience the repercussions of your actions, of your words, doesn't mean you're free from blame. Say what you want, but be bold enough to stand up and say it to someone's face. Be bold enough to stand up, say it to someone's face, and then be prepared to debate and justify your every word. If you don't do that, you are a coward, as far as I'm concerned. Get up, say what you want, sit down, debate it, get angry, then go for a pint. That's what you do. You've got to be able to justify everything you say. Generations ago, perhaps it wasn't as important because people did not say what they feel free to say now in the 21st century. And because people are being cancelled so easily by mindless mobs on the internet, it's so easy. You can cause damage, and when you say these things, you probably know that you can cause damage. You probably know that you are causing damage, but you do it anyway because it gives you the power that you probably haven't got in your life. You are probably a weak coward, and this is the only way you can feel powerful. But it isn't power, it's just being vacuous and a coward. And you're the one who should be cancelled. Many of us say, oh, I'm not going on social media, I'm not going on it again, but it is a drug. And the thing is, we aren't weak for saying, I'm not going on social media and then going back on it, because social media is run by people who know what they're doing. Social media is run by people who know how to get into your heads, how to make social media a drug. Nations are creating social media platforms. Chinese are creating TikTok. They know what they're doing. You think you can turn your back on it, but it's this drug that draws you in into this morass of insults and name calling and destruction of each other. Step away if you can. It's very difficult. But it is the best thing you could do. It really is the best thing you could do. And here I am on a social media platform telling you this. Am I the hypocrite? I'm telling everybody how wonderful they are. Am I the sycophant? We're all trapped in this web, aren't we? Where's it going to end? Where is it going to end? Will it end in war? Will it end in destruction? Will it just end up in the splintering of society? And I talk about these things on a day when I should be out here talking about the beauty of the landscape, my little dog, the blue of the sky, the green of the sea, the green of the leaves and the grass, the insects, the warmth of the sun. But we're talking about this again, because this is what society seems to be obsessed with, and this is what I seem to be obsessed with this morning. So I apologise for this one, but when you start talking about things, you carry on talking about things. And as you talk about things, you discover things. You discover things just by talking about them, don't you? But I'm going to turn this off now and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. So get out there in nature, forget the laptop, step away from social media. I know many of you do, because you're old fogies like me. And it has been a part of your life for such a brief time that you can actually step away from it. But when you've lived it, when it is food to you, can you actually step away from it? I'm not sure that you can. What happens next? I don't know. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.